Hello and welcome to Oweleketv on this beautiful day. It is wonderful to have you right there. It is, of course, Wednesday, and it is a very beautiful day, like we will always say. And this is the time when we bring you to speed with the headlines for the day, beginning from the Nigerian Tribune today. But then, my name is Ramsey Enoch, and with me is Bright and Michael. Good morning, Bright and Michael.
Good morning, Ramsey. Good morning, Bright.
Now to the headlines for the day, beginning from the Nigerian Tribune, like I said earlier, and above the header. NCDC warns of rising yellow fever cases amid cholera outbreak, details read on page 30. Then this one says, FAC, that's the kicker, federal government, states, local government share 1.35 trillion naira for June. I saw this and I was wondering, where is this money really going to? Have we seen anything happened in June that could reflect this? If this money was being shared, what was it really used for? You can find out the details on page 7 of the Nigerian Tribune. I'm moving away from there to the big story this morning. And the big story is actually big, and this is what it's talking about. More states get set for local government polls. You already know what the drama is all about. After the Supreme Court gave a judgment that the local government should have their own autonomy. After the approval, after the judgment, a lot of local governments started running helter-skelter, the governors especially, where they have caretaker chairman, committee chairman. It's actually a committee because if the caretaker if the chairman is the caretaker, then the councillors also should be appointed and not elected too. So I have some riders to that story. Kwara, Kogi, Kaduna, Bauchi affirm dates, set rules. Ayedatiwa ask caretaker chairman to resume despite Supreme Court judgment. Then the last rider say Akwa Ibom governor says local government autonomy. Relief for states seeks effective implementation. And details read on page 2 and 30 of the Nigerian Tribune. A lot of stories here, but I won't be able to take all. If any of these stories catches your fancy, if it is of interest to you, you can pick a copy of the Nigerian Tribune and go through it. But then you mustn't forget that Kano governor already signs bills creating 3 second-class emirates into law. Details read on page 5 because the Emir Tozo in Kano State is not over yet. We are waiting for when it's going to be over. Different stories unfolding on daily basis. But then let's see how all of that is going to end. But then I think we need more peace. All right. With the traditional rulers. That's all from the Nigerian Tribune this morning as I hand you over to Michael for the next paper.
Let's move straight to the Punch newspaper this morning. The kicker says minimum wage. Labour threatens 30-day strike, alleges plan to decentralize talks. Details on page 17. Federal government warns 22 states of 5-day massive flooding. Details read on page 28. The flooding is still surging in many states. Abuja has experienced its own. Other states should take
and it's not over yet because maybe the heavy rain will still
they are still coming July and August. We anticipate that.
It's so painful that despite the warnings, so many things are not being done. Absolutely. Sometimes they are adamant about it.
Preventive measures are not put in place.
They like control measures and damage control.
Even the citizenry has a role to play when it comes to flooding control. You understand? When they take care of their environment, their drainages.
Have you seen where
drainages around them when they take care of it? I think the government has less work to do when it comes when the citizens have. When they play their own part well, you understand?
That's for those who feel they are doing.
Can I say something? Can I say something, Bright? This thing you said just reminded me of something. If you get to some marketplaces, the way they dump refuse in runways, it will amaze you. They don't have refuse dump very close by. So what they do is all the refuse they dump it in the runway, and when the flood comes, when the water comes, it pushes it out. Okay, pushes it out, then it spread all over the place and made the place. And before you know, they said there is a flood of a truth. I think of a truth.
Has a role to play.
The citizens have a major role to play.
Thank you so much, Brad. Away from that, the next header: NNPCL meets military and police to curb oil theft. Details on page 7. Away from news above the header, let's move straight to the big story. The kicker says local government autonomy. 13 states rush to hold council polls. We have two riders to the story. Bauchi fixes local government poll for August 19. Kogi election holds October 19. Jigawa, Imo, Anambra, Abia, Katsina, Kebbi, Benue is set for the same exercise. The last story I'll take on the Punch newspaper this morning. 1 killed, journalist shot in Kenya, fresh protest. Details on page 25 of the Punch newspaper. Do well to pick a copy and enjoy interesting story. Back to you, Bright.
All right, thank you, Michael. With me today, I have the Vanguard newspaper, and the big story here today is FG policies crippling businesses. After that again, FG policies crippling businesses. This coming from Neka, Man, and Nasima. We have some writers to this story. Neka lists 6 major problems areas. Like they have listed, they have identified about 6 areas that are causing the problems. Another writer to that story is that NLC threatens to shut Nigeria down for 30 days as NAS move to deregulate minimum wage. I think we have been hearing some stories concerning that governors are asking that, they should pay according to what they can afford. So Labour is threatening to shut Nigeria down for 30 days as NAS moves to deregulate minimum wage. Another story we have here is Tinubu orders CDS to end oil theft. The last story I'll be taking here today is Sunday Igboho to armed headers leave Southwest now. I think Sunday Igboho has been arrested and told to stay out of these issues. I don't know why we still find him dabbling into security issues when he has been warned to stop meddling in security issues and that he violated some laws some time ago. You understand? Which some people clamour that he should be arrested.
The same way
Nnamdi Kanu was detained, that he should also face the same thing. But I don't know why he was arrested and released.
He was released. I think he ran.
Yes, he ran away. But now we're hearing his voice again. Right? We're hearing him talk again. So I don't know what is going on actually with that story.
This is Nigeria.
But over to you, Ramsey.
All right, thank you very much, Bright, for those headlines. Let's move away from that Igohoza case and go to the Daily News Hub this morning, where we have this on saying Doguba, that's above the header. Smear campaigns against Igadolo will end in vanity. PDP assures. Then this rider says a loss of revenue. And the big story, Tinubu gives security forces marching order to swap on oil thieves. Yeah, I take that again. Tinubu gives security forces marching orders to swap on oil thieves. Well, oil thieves are everywhere, and it's part of the reason some of these things are happening. So let's see, we'll talk more about that. But then there are some riders to that story. The first one said oil theft, serious threat, Nigeria's survivor at stake. NNPC LGMD is the one saying that. Then the second rider says that we will clear south of vandalism, criminality within 3 months. CDS vows as IGP seeks cooperation of security agencies, all Nigerians to win battle. All right, that's that from the big story. Then before I finally call it a wrap right here, NECO 2024 results, that's the kicker. 13 candidates get 01, one score 203 out of total of 210. The federal government repatriates 190 Nigerians from United Arab Emirates. Then this one says a Binance trial. A court issues bench warrant against Kuje prison medical doctor. All right, that's going to be the size of the headlines from the Daily News Hub this morning. Let's go on a quick break. When we return, we will talk about the big story. What's the big story all about? You know what Nigerians are facing right now? If you've ever paid for a fare, if you've ever moved from one place to the other, or you have a car, all right, you will know what we're talking about and what has actually contributed to the recent trouble, struggle, and hunger in the land. I'm talking about fuel. When we return, we'll look at Tinubu's giving security forces march in order to swap on oil thieves. We will return after this break.
Follow us on our social media handles at Oweleke TV. Visit our website at www.oweleke.tv for a thrilling journey. Oweleke Oweleketv TV, rising star at the fairground.
Welcome back from that break. It is still Outnumbered live on your screen with the Outnumbered crew. Outnumbered crew, we are right here. Michael is ready, Bright is ready, and I am also ready. Let's talk about this. Well, I think one of the problems that we've had in recent time was the issue of oil. Crude oil, the crude is not available, the oil is not available. When we talk about oil, you should know what we're talking about. We're talking about the PMS. All right, after being refined, it becomes a PMS, becomes a fuel. Now, Tinubu is given security forces marching order to swap on oil thieves. Okay, oil theft, serious threat. Nigeria survivor at a stake. This is a big problem because the NNPCL GMD is already crying out. But then, who are the people responsible for this? Before now, we felt there was a belief, there was this school of thought that in order to destabilize certain administration, people come up to do certain things, especially in the South. All right. But then we've heard of people being arrested for illegal refining. They have illegal refineries all over. The question is this: why has this persisted? What is responsible for this? And now, Tinubu given security forces marching order to swap on oil thieves. This is not the first time we're hearing about this, all right? Now, can we say something is going to come out of this? Because it's one thing to give instruction. We've heard often time that the military, fighting the terrorists, sometimes they don't have commensurate weapon to go after these people. Can we say this statement is really going to go down? Yes, Bright, what do you think about this? Tinubu given security forces marching order to swap on oil thieves. The major problem that we're facing in this country is fuel scarcity, even though we are oil-rich country. Will this statement really make any difference?
This statement coming from the presidency is aimed at boosting our oil revenue, because what we are producing right now, we have the capacity to produce more than what we are producing. We are producing less than 2 million barrels per day, which we were producing over 2 million barrels per day under the previous PDP administration. So Nigeria now producing less. When moving forward, I think is a setback on the part of the NNPCL. So the presidency coming out to tell the security forces, it's like they have an intel that these things, there are some saboteurs in the country that are working against our production capacity. Maybe we produce over 2 million barrels. There are some forces, the elites of the elite, according to the presidency, that are diverting our production. You understand that? Maybe we produce over 2 million barrels, and some people are taking their own percentage out of it, and at the end of the day, we are selling less than 2 million barrels, which will produce less revenue for the country. You understand? So I think the presidency giving marching orders to security, I think it knows what they are up against. Him coming out with the security forces now, not because we heard the minister of the GMD of NNPC, as last week, he was promising that we can step up our oil production to 2 million barrels per day, that we don't need to build new oil rigs or anything, that we just have to work on what we have already.
What we have on ground.
That we can step up our production to 2 million barrels per day. But now the presidency coming out to say, to charge the security forces to go after the people, you understand, that are into oil theft in the country, shows that there's an intel that they got, that they believe that there are some people working against our oil sector, that there's some people in our oil sector that are actually siphoning and diverting this crude that we're actually producing in the country.
All right, thank you very much, Michael. Let me get to you now. I may still return back to you, but then the essence of this, the reason why the president is given the security forces marching order to swap on oil thieves is because of the loss in revenue. As it is right now, when this administration came into office, the first thing they did was to remove subsidy, because we're made to understand in the president's speech that some cabals are behind the oil subsidy. And during the 2023 campaign, there was a story flying around where there was a pipe laid from Nigeria across the high sea, where crude was being diverted, all right, by these thieves. Now, let's look at it holistically. Can these people be fought? Would our security forces be able to match with what these people are doing? And then, who do you think are the people responsible for this? The oil thieves. You may not know them, but speculation, of course. I'm not saying you should call their names, because you may not know them. You don't do oil business, you know.
All right, I'll start from saying, without restoring oil and gas production in any economy, it is impossible to actually restore economic prosperity and the stability that we all desire. And the president particularly made this out. He made this conspicuous to Nigeria that, hey, I want economic stability in the part of oil and gas production, but for that to be achieved, oil theft and pipeline vandalism, particularly in the Niger Delta area, has to be attended to. It has to be fixed. It has to be rigorous. The approach has to be holistic, talking about the police, the DSS, the military. And then speaking at military headquarters yesterday, Oweleketv, CEO of NNPCL, was particularly saying, Army General Christopher Musa, who is the chief of defense staff, we need you guys, like, face to face. I need you to tackle this. Aside from the DSS and police that we know, you guys will need to work together to see
civil
that,
defense inclusive.
Yeah, civil defense to be joint task force to see that we have pipeline vandalism and oil theft reduced drastically, so we can have massive production. Remember that if that is not done, it will still jeopardize the efforts put in place by Dangote to start rolling production very soon. We need that to
He gave us August.
Absolutely. Remember what happens in rivers. The Navy will always tell you that, hey, rivers is a place where they're always fighting oil theft and pipeline vandalism. Especially those in One, they particularly fight vandalism.
One is the hub. You know?
It's the hub.
Most of these IOCs are there.
They tackle it a lot. So I think when you mentioned people who are involved in it, you just mentioned one IOCs. These guys are the ones are the big guns.
That was the reason. You remember what they did to Dangote, of course, when they were refusing to give Dangote fuel. But then they were exporting, and they were not giving him crude. So, but thank God that all of that is being settled now.
If that is to be tackled, the people that are in this business, international oil companies, and those that are preventing the modular refineries from establishing, even those that are tackling Tinubu, we all know them. We know they can be fished out, so that the efforts of the security forces cannot be jeopardized. Get them checkmated, these IOCs, these cabals that are eating from it is time for you to choke them up, so that when the security forces go to tackle oil theft and pipeline vandalism, their efforts will not be
all right, thank you. Finally, before we go bright, there is something that has distinguished President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. You remember the last administration, the president was the chairman, the GMD of NNPC. You understand? Buhari, and you can remember how that sector
he was the petroleum minister.
He was a petroleum minister. He was in charge of everything petroleum. But then Tinubu came up and we had GMD. A lot of people were asked to go. So many things were done. In one sentence, what can you say about that? Is that the best way forward? Is that going to give us a better result as far as oil production in Nigeria is concerned?
I think that's the best way to handle this kind of situation, because the presidency alone is a very tasking office for Tinubu to take it upon himself again to be monitoring the
but
sector.
Buhari did it.
Buhari did not do a good job there. We all suffered for
the
consequences.
It's okay. That's what I wanted to know. The difference between what Buhari did and, of course, what Tinubu is doing now.
We're buying fuel. We're buying fuel averagely lower than right now. So what's happening? We have more food production.
We were buying fuel at the detriment. We were buying fuel at the detriment of the country. The country was dying while we were buying fuel at cheaper amount.
We still have borrowings right now, even though we have borrowings in successive government that are passed. So what is the difference when you geometrically place statistics on the table. We're buying fuel at about 300 and something naira, and now we're buying 690. Even after subsidy was removed. So, what is the geometric or numerical advantage that Tinubu has had over the last government?
Tinubu has had a lot.
That's the big question. Let me leave the question to our fans right there. What's the big difference? I just want to know whether the small difference, the medium difference, or the big difference. What difference does it make? When Buhari was the Minister of Petroleum and was in charge with his cabal, as the case may be, we're buying fuel for 300, 400 thereabout. But now the subsidy has been removed. And of course, we have a GMD of NPCL. And now fuel is 600 to 700 and above, as the case may be, depending on where you are buying from. What's the difference? Which would you prefer? As a matter of fact, the big question here today is the marching order given to the military and, of course, the security operatives to swap on oil thieves. Would that boost our revenue? And of what importance is the revenue being boosted if the people don't feel the impact of the boosted revenue? Boosting revenue is very, very important for our economy, as the case may be. My name is Ramsey Enoch, and it's good to have you right there. Remember, we will come on your way again, same time, same station tomorrow. Bye-bye for now, and have a wonderful day ahead of you.